Welcome to Happily Ever Aftermath,
the podcast where we discuss relationships in movies and our relationships with them.
I'm Polina Grenville.
And I'm Diana Rojek Skonnord.
Hello, Diana.
Polina, I am pleased that you did not watch the 2017 version of the movie.
I actually had a moment where I was going to text you, and then I was like, I'm going to assume it's 1999, the 1999 version, because of what this podcast is about.
Mm-hmm. Mummies.
Which is about mummies, yes.
Yes.
Mummies in love.
Technically, yes.
Yeah, exactly.
That is accurate.
I know. There's a lot of love in this movie.
Yes, absolutely. And speaking a lot of love, my husband is here again, Ryan Skonnord.
Oh, yay.
Hi.
Wow.
Good to be what?
Our esteemed producer.
My throat got dry.
I was about to say you got squeaky.
Yes, I'm very pleased to be here. Thanks for having me on again.
Oh, we're happy to have you. Always fun.
Happy to be here for this movie.
She said esteemed producer. You're esteemed.
Not really a producer, but I'll accept the...
That was our old joke was always like, oh, he's our producer. But he sort of sits and introduced us and sits in the background.
Yes. So he's excited for this movie. I'm excited for this movie. Let's get to the nitty gritty of it.
I watched this movie.
You watched the movie?
And I'm excited to talk about it.
We were excited to have you watch the movie.
Yeah.
The Mummy.
Yes.
1999. This is from IMDb.
Mm-hmm.
An archaeological dig in the ancient city of Hamunaptra. An American serving in the French Foreign Legion accidentally awakens a mummy who begins to wreak havoc as he searches for the reincarnation of his long-lost love. First of all, way too many pronouns, because who's with the what now and who opened up the mummy? First of all, hold on.
Fraser was in love with the mummy?
Who wasn't in love with this mummy? but allow me. Welcome to Frasuary.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. This movie stars Brendan Fraser, Rachel Weisz.
Wouldn't it be hysterical if he didn't? It didn't.
Is he also a
Frasuary.
producer?
The month where we have movies that do not feature Brendan Fraser.
The movie stars Kelsey Grammer and no. Okay. Rachel Weisz, John Hannah, Arnold Vosloo, Kevin J. O'Connor, which is interesting. When Ryan and I were watching this, I'm just like, so we know him as Benny, but I also know him, speaking, nice nod to Romancing the Stone. He was in a movie with Kathleen Turner, Peggy Sue Got Married.
Yes.
And he was the mysterious handsome boy in Peggy Sue Got Married. And Ryan's like,
I totally
Benny?
forgot about that.
Benny? So weirdly enough, Benny is kind of cool. Oded Fehr.
Okay.
Which I'd like to do a collective pause for Oded Fehr.
Oh.
No, not because he's dead, but because he's freaking awesome. Okay.
Okay.
Handsome men make Diana uncomfortable. So
Oh,
that's why I
okay.
have to pause.
He is extremely handsome. You're right.
He's a very attractive man.
Yeah. No, it's true.
And Patricia Velasquez.
Oh my God.
featuring-
Yeah.
Do you need a pause for
I need a pause for both of them. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I for a second I was like, oh my God, no. I was kind of flipping out that he was dead, but yeah. But now I'm just thinking of Patricia Velasquez.
It's an unforgettable 90 seconds of screen time.
Yeah.
Okay, so for the record, we flip out about various people. No one has died from this movie that we are aware of, except for, Imhotep and, the people who were resurrected.
Right.
Yeah, actually, Patricia Velasquez, she died in the movie. And,
Yes.
Yeah.
But I mean, the actress. We're talking about the actress, not the
actress is fine.
The actress.
As far
is
as we
fine,
know.
As far as we know. Okay. Anyway,
That was awesome.
super hot.
Okay, so as Polina had mentioned, she has never seen this.
Nope.
In an attempt to make sure we don't repeat the same mistake we did in our True Romance episode, I want to make sure Ryan tells us his experience with watching this for the first time.
Oh, sure.
And then I shall also chime in.
Yes, thank you, because I can't believe we forgot to do that.
I had to give him marriage points.
Oh, it's terrible. I'm sorry.
Okay. I mainly just wanted to gush about how much cooler your taste in movies was back then.
Oh,
We're even now.
So you missed that opportunity, Diana. Yeah. How do you feel now?
Like I got my marriage points back. All right. So Ryan,
Yes.
as someone who has seen this movie in the time frame of teenage years. I mean, officially, this is my pick. And when I mention it, you're like, "Can I come?"
Yeah, I think we didn't see this movie together, but
No.
we both saw it during its sort of release cycle. And that was very early when we were first dating, too. So I think this movie was probably among our earlier conversations.
Question. I actually know the answer, but for the listeners, you saw this in the theater?
On DVD.
You saw this on DVD?
Yeah, I think a few months after we started dating. You would have seen it in the theater before.
I have not.
Oh, you did not see it in the theater?
No, because I saw The Mummy Returns before I saw The Mummy.
Oh, I thought...
Which would have been impossible for me to see The Mummy in the theater.
I got confused. I was talking about the sequel. Yeah, actually, sorry. The Mummy Returns I saw on DVD after it came out, and I did not see The Mummy until after that.
Yeah.
Was that not the case for you also?
I saw The Mummy Returns in the theater.
Right.
And then I watched The Mummy. I owned it on VHS when it was the really cool golden, like the book of Amun-Ra. It was a 2-pack before they did 12 sequels and spin-offs. And so it was a nice VHS pack. And I'm wondering if my parents still have it because I upgraded to the DVD 2-pack and my parents were the recipient of the gifts. Hence they own like While You Were Sleeping and what have you.
So,
That's not
did
the name
you
of the
get? Did you get it as a gift or did you buy it?
It was a gift from myself to myself.
Nice.
Because I really liked these movies. And in fact, originally I enjoyed the sequel more than the original. Because that's the way it usually goes. The sequel is louder, faster, better. I mean, maybe not always better, but like...
Deeper relationships.
I've always... I will... Stop that.
Sorry. Am I getting ahead of ourselves?
No, you're spoiling it for...
Oh, sorry, Polina.
Also Polina.
Sorry, audience.
It's
Yeah.
a sequel of an action adventure movie.
So
Let me guess, they survive.
Damn it. Or did they?
I won't know.
They didn't. Or did they? Sorry. So I answered the question, and inadvertently, I need you to answer my original question.
Okay, so wait. All right, so wait. You said you saw the sequel in the theater, and then you saw the
original.
first one on DVD later. Yeah, similar
VHS.
story. VHS, yes.
So I saw this on VHS.
Similar for me, except they were both on video. I'm sure this is fascinating content to be.
Okay, so where did you get it?
Was it Blockbuster?
Yeah, I think it was just a random rental. And it came on Diana's recommendation. I know that she had talked about. Oh yeah. I remember you talking about how much you liked the movie, and it was probably just a new release at the time because it was like a good several months, however long it takes for these things to come out on home video back then, which was a little bit longer. And
I'm trying to figure out how that's possible. So you did not see this movie before? Did you see this movie before we met?
This movie being
Did
Mummy?
you see The Mummy before?
No, I'd never seen it.
Oh, okay. We're learning so much about each other.
Oh, good.
That's very cute.
But
Okay,
yes,
so-
I chose The Mummy Returns because it was a new release at the rental place and it came highly recommended. And then I went on to see The Mummy afterward.
Got it.
That's my story.
The Mummy Returns, you mean, you saw first.
And The Mummy Returns was not recommended by me.
Yes, it was.
Really?
I think so.
I swear you watched this movie before you met me.
No.
Why would I tell you to watch a sequel first? That doesn't sound like me at all.
It doesn't.
Or maybe you just told me that they were both good. I don't know.
I blame you.
Like I said, it was an availability thing. You know, it was like back then at Blockbuster where like they
Right.
have 50 copies of the new releases. And I don't even know if like the original was in stock or if I just grabbed the sequel because it was like in the big display. But that was my story.
And for the record, I did not advise you to watch a movie before, you know.
Okay.
Okay, so
I
why
absolve
did
you
you
of that.
watch
Okay.
why did you watch The Mummy Returns before
I got
watching
invited.
The Mummy?
I got invited by two friends that I really wanted to go with.
And you went to the theater?
Yes.
Okay. And then you went back to watch The Mummy.
I, not immediately, but I wouldn't have been surprised. I swear this movie, The Mummy, was on TNT constantly. And it's just like, oh, it's on again.
Yeah. No, I think it was because I remember being like a hotel room and like seeing parts of it. Because one part of it was like, this is weird. Did I see this movie and just forgot? And
No.
I'm like, oh, I think, and this morning it came to me. I was like, oh, I remember it being on, and a friend of mine in a hotel and a friend of mine being like, oh, I love this movie.
Good friend.
Yeah.
That's a good friend. good friend bringing me to the movie. Well, the second one.
But I mean, I didn't sit down and watch it. Like I saw one scene of it.
You saw a couple of decapitations and then moved on.
Moved on, you know.
PG-13 decapitations. So it's okay.
Okay, this movie is terrifying.
Well, I was writing that down where I'm, as a little bit of it, I'm just like, wow, it's kind of amazing how quickly adventure becomes horror.
It really, it's very effective that way. I was really scared.
And the special effects hold up.
Yeah, and I watched it. I'm like trying to imagine watching some VHS. I saw it on, for the first time, like all the way through. I think I just wasn't interested. I don't know why I didn't see it. I knew about it. Like it wasn't like I was like, what is this? The Mummy? I was like, oh, The Mummy, the one with Brendan Fraser. But I was like, I thought that the special effects were pretty damn great.
Especially for 99.
Right. I really the sand thing was terrifying.
Oh, and the scarabs under the skin.
Oh God. That's the thing. I kept having these like weird,
reactions.
Nightmares like last night. I mean, not horrible ones, but it would kind of come up like every now and again. Ugh.
Well, I forgot how much of a horror movie that it maintains. Well, it is. It's not. But
it kind of is.
No, it kind of is. No, it is. I mean, it's terrifying. Yeah.
Yeah, but no one got the memo with all the whole humor and Fraserness. Because they actually said when they were finding the right person, you had to strike the nice balance between, the humor and a guy who wasn't taking himself so seriously. Right. And that's why it really worked.
Yeah.
And that's why it's still working.
Yeah.
There's some, okay, when we were watching this for the podcast, I'm like, wow, some of these lines are really cheesy, but I was ready for the cheesiness of it, so I'm on board. When I'm going, like, certain movies where I'm just like, this is serious business. Why are they making jokes? This is horrible. I wasn't on board for other things. But for this one, I'm just like, Was I giddy? Was I giddy when we were watching this?
You were.
I was giddy.
Aw. That's awesome.
Yep.
I have to say I was dreading watching this movie.
Woo!
And I just was not. It was like, one of those where I kept like, it was like, I have to watch this movie or I'm never, it's not like don't have time tomorrow. Like it was really kind of, last night. And I was like, and when I got into it, I thought, oh, you know what? I'll just stop it like 30 minutes in. I'll just finish watching it at lunch. Like, Polina, just watch an hour and a half. You can do this. And I just was having such a good time. I was having such a good time.
Woo! Okay.
I was just not in the mood to sit still and watch a movie, but I was having such a good time. I had all these other things I needed to do, but I was like, yeah, I really thoroughly, I was truly, and it was funny because Sean ended up getting sucked in too. Like he was like, oh, I'm going to sit down for 5 minutes. He did fall asleep, to be fair, but he falls asleep in almost every movie.
So
but
he was not terrified. Got it.
Well, no, it was sort of toward the end, but he was like, yeah, he got sucked in. He was like, I'll just watch 20 minutes of it and then I'll go do something else. Because I wanted to watch it on the big, I didn't want to watch it on an iPad. Sure. I wanted to watch it like on my TV. Mm-hmm. And I'm really glad I did because it's just really cool looking. I turned off all the lights so I could really enjoy it.
Mm-hmm. And then you did.
I did.
I call this a victory. Podcast over.
Yeah, done.
One more thing I noticed about Diana's reaction to watching it this most recent time, in addition to the giddiness, is that I know Diana's taste in movies very well, and in general, she is not much of a fan of physical comedy. Mm-hmm. But in this case, she was laughing at like most, if not all, of the physical comedy beats, like Benny getting thrown overboard from the boat very suddenly, and what were some of the others, like the line of bullets and he gets pulled out of the way at the last minute.
I adore that moment right there because in the romantic context of it, this is actually something where I'm just like, honey, this is why I enjoy this so much. And I was actually thinking about the Indiana Jones parallels. Mm-hmm. Indiana Jones, so I actually got indignant. I paused the movie, got a little bit indignant. And I was saying like, I really hate those people who are just saying that this is like an Indiana Jones knockoff, okay? The difference is Indiana Jones and whatever female he's put in with, Indiana Jones is a person and a half and she is also there and then they become two people. These are actually partners because he is doing this and she's got the brains to pull him, no, come over here with me and let's do this.
Do we need to explain what scene we're referring to?
Hold on. Well, so I'm getting to there.
Sure.
So when the boat is being attacked because there is a secret society trying to keep people from discovering the monster. I love it. What's happening is that you see this series of bullets coming through a wall, and it's just like boom, boom, boom. You see them in succession, and Rick O'Connell is he's reloading, and then
oblivious to the bullets,
and then as the last one is coming slowly and slowly, she just pulls him one last thing, and he just kind of blinks for a second, and then just keeps going. I mean, I didn't consider that to be like ha-ha funny, because I know it was kind of meant to be ha-ha funny, but I'm just like, they are partners. They are partners.
Well, yeah, I mean, she's got, like, that's the thing. She has something to contribute to this. I mean, obviously she doesn't have something to contribute. She is the genesis of the entire project.
Well, her brother is technically
right,
but she's the one who wanted to find the book so badly, and she's the whole
he just wants
they're going for the
money,
city.
And I just feel like so she's, and it's it's their money, it's her passion, her knowledge, her
her ability to read an ancient
like all these different languages, and she's,
is that what you said?
Ancient Egyptian.
I know that, but I swear that was one of the things she shot out, and I decided to run with it.
I don't doubt that she can read Sanskrit, but I don't think that's what they were using.
They weren't, they weren't.
Well, yeah, but at the same time, I swear she said it.
No, she said she can read Sanskrit.
That's what I...
Yeah, sure.
Well, but I was going for her knowledge, not her knowledge that she was... Okay, shut up.
No, but
you're dumb.
The important thing is... Yeah, I don't remember well, actually, but like... So... I loved that about this movie. I did actually, when I say I enjoyed it, I was very vocal in this movie. I have this like phobia thing about things involving eyes.
Yes.
And so I did have to like pause the movie for a little while. No, I can't.
When the guy
don't. Go through it. But then I was back.
Did I say something when we were watching it? Like I knew that Polina's not going to like this.
I also like did a lot of yelling, and also this is one of my sort of things. I get incredibly anxious at those movies when everything is like falls apart, and I feel like they did a good job with that. Where like it's basically just like it's like you're just watching how bad things get. And like that first scene in the library, I was like, I can't do this, because I thought, well, God, if this whole movie is like this, where it's just watching that like her on the ladder, I was just like, I don't know, it's a very visceral, like it actually, the visuals are extremely visceral in this movie. Like the cinematography is pretty good, because I was grasping Sean's hand so hard with that, like it left marks, because I was like, I can't watch. Yeah.
Here's what's interesting about that scene. So Ryan was saying, me not being a big fan of physical comedy. I would say pratfalls. Physical comedy is one thing if it's done correctly. Yeah. I don't like pratfalls.
I don't really. I don't really like
just say like
the
more painful kind of physical comedy.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't like that either. Yeah. I'm too like, I get like, ow, ow, ow.
But that particular scene, the second I'm like, oh crap, I forgot about the whole library domino blah 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 thing. And as it was happening, I'm just like, stop being lazy. Get off of the ladder.
Right.
Move the ladder back. Climb back up.
Oh my God, so much of that.
So
also she's handling like there's a couple moments like that where I was like, first off, this is impossible. Second off, I was like, you're handling all this material without gloves. Like when she got the map.
Well, it's ancient to us. Oh, you're talking about the map. I was like, the books are ancient to us now, Polina, but I'm sure that's just a regular library.
I'm not sure.
But I get it.
No, but also was not as delicate a science at the time, I think.
People still, I mean, especially if you're in a museum, you still wore gloves.
And the main curator decides to very delicately hold it over a flame, but that was intentional.
He did that on purpose.
Yeah.
Of course he did it on purpose, but I thought it was funny that your eye focused away from him, and all of a sudden you don't, if you know what you're looking for, you're saying like, oh, he's
I didn't know that. Like, I didn't know it.
But a question about on the ladder and the bookcases, does that count as some early like character establishing stuff, that like in spite of the fact that she's the button down librarian who's not used to adventuring, but nonetheless we learn that she's not actually all that risk averse, she's not terribly shy about physical danger because she'd rather lean on the ladder than going over.
Right. Oh, that's a good point. Yeah.
Or is this a regular rom-com thing where she's just like,
it's clumsy?
Uh-oh.
Well, that's what I was worried about. I was like, okay, I have to say, I was like, oh God, it's one of those movies where just like, it's just going to be constant, like, Rube Goldberg machines of disaster? Or is it going to be, and is she going to be clumsy? But after that, she's not clumsy.
No.
Even though they kind of set it up that way, which I didn't really get. She's
Because
just
her boss goes on a whole rant about
Right.
other stuff
How
like
she's
this.
a
She's
disaster.
she like she's a disaster, and it like that never really comes up again, and it just irritated me. And I was like, I don't know.
dude, you burned the map.
I know, that's the thing. And then like 4 minutes, I did not like that man.
Oh, interestingly enough.
And the fact that he was like, she's like, why, I don't know why I put up with you. And she's like, because I speak all these languages and I'm an expert in X, Y, and Z. And he's like, oh no, just your parents
were our
gave,
finest
were our
patrons.
finest patrons. And I'm like,
well, we talked about that.
I'm like, that's some BS right there.
When he said that, I'm like, honey, when he says finest patrons, he's like, he probably means donors. I'm like, oh, because like I also go to the library a lot, and they would not put up with that.
Constantly checking out books more than anyone else.
Always,
Yeah,
always checking out a book.
yeah,
I'm gonna go knock
exactly.
some crap
I'm a
over.
library patron.
My kids are gonna be like so set.
Right.
Exactly. My non-existent children. Yeah. So I am very pleased that you. Well, how about this? This is better than your usual. Like, I didn't hate it.
Yeah, it's thoroughly. I mean, I was like, it was just intense. It was like an intense watch, and I had that like, okay, I'm gonna get up and get some like, fruit, or I'm gonna get, I was like, any minute now, and I couldn't tear myself away. I also was very like vocal during this. I was like, It was one of those movies. But yeah, no, I thought it's like it's well done,
I agree wholeheartedly.
and I really like Rachel Weisz. So
Yeah.
and Brendan Fraser, yeah,
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that.
she's super fun in this.
Well, I think Ryan has claimed any Rachel Weisz month that we do. I have not,
Oh,
Well,
I have not developed one, but
why?
Well, I'm hatching plans for possibly a future episode in which she also appeared in that movie, and I just thought I should establish a precedent now that any movie with her in it, I should be on. So
she's trying to make up a month.
I'm so bad at
it
this.
doesn't have to be. No, there's already a month for that movie anyway.
Yes, it's already going to be included. Details later.
Oh, okay.
And by later, I mean off air. And sorry, everyone. So yes,
Call that a teaser.
you're a tease. Yeah, I will admit to this. When we watched it, they were talking about when they first made it down into Hamunaptra, and they're walking downward. They're just like, you realize that no one has stepped in this in 3,000 years. And I'm like, honey, pause it. So it's 1926, and the thing said earlier was 1200. He's like, BC, honey. I'm like, oh, all right, play the movie.
Were you into now? You were talking about why you saw this movie. Were you guys into like Egyptian stuff as a kid?
No.
No more so than the average like fantasy geek, classical mythology, all that stuff. It kind of came up in the
Indiana
stuff
Jones.
that I read, and Indiana Jones,
Yep.
of course.
No, I wasn't really into that. But I did write down this note that I had. You know what I was into at that age, thanks to these movies? John Hannah.
Ah,
I think it's so funny that I'm just like, I keep forgetting about certain people in this movie, and then as they would appear, I'm just like, yeah, it's John Hannah. Oh, it's Oded Fehr.
Yeah.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god!
Diana has interesting choices when it comes to
yeah.
men in her movies.
I pointed.
No, I had the same moment with John. I was like, oh, I kind of forgot about you. You delight me.
I know.
I was super into Egyptian stuff.
Really?
Yeah. God, I was like, when I was a kid, I was just like I loved that shit. I also really liked that. That was kind of like that. Mesopotamia I was super into too. I was just into that kind of stuff. I wanted to be an archaeologist.
Did it work? Oh wait, I know you, and you're not.
Yeah. Damn. No, it's okay.
But yeah, that is a fascinating period of world history. That like we think of it as being so like almost Stone Age, but no, they had like seriously sophisticated culture.
Oh, I don't think it's like amazing. That's the thing that's so cool. Oh, it's just visually amazing too.
yeah,
Like, or at least what we know about. Have you been to the Rosicrucian Museum?
No.
Oh, I still love that stuff. It's like in San Jose. It's great.
Oh, cool.
It's kind of ridiculous, but anyway, it's a whole thing. But I used to go to like the Met. We used to go into New York. I used to go to the Met, and they have a whole like, they have mummies. They have like a whole. They have a whole like. You can go inside. Not a sarcophagus, but the a tomb. They have an Egyptian tomb, like recreate. It's amazing.
I've been to the Luxor in Las Vegas.
Also very cool.
It's pointy And I hear that the circulation is not very good in the pyramid rooms.
Yeah, that's what I hear too.
I didn't stay there.
Actually, I went to their I think they redid it, but they had a whole Egyptian themed, they have a whole like Egyptian spa thing that I loved. So
Do they body wraps?
they don't like, it's not, I mean, I'm sure they do. I'm sure they do. I'm sure they do a body wrap. I mean,
And then they put scarabs on
that
you?
would be terrifying. Yeah. It's like, yeah.
And then
Their hot stone massages are different.
It'll be so well preserved.
and then the water turns into blood. It's a plague. It's
It's
awesome.
amazing.
Blood is rejuvenating.
Yeah.
But only if you're a high priest.
I'll be at the Luxor Esports Arena.
Yeah.
I shall play the slots. But I shall play Pharaoh's Fortune.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah,
I
love
apologize
that
to
shit.
all cultures I have accidentally insulted or purposefully insulted. Okay.
Okay. I just wanted to know, like, if that was a big draw, because to me that was a draw.
No.
That would have been a draw.
And I also imagine what's kind of amazing is that, she's a librarian, but she's a librarian who just decides to do this stuff in her spare time. That's a little bit more realistic. I like that.
Doing what in her spare time?
Searching for treasure.
Oh yeah. She also has a lot of money. She can do whatever she wants. It's great.
Also aspire to have a lot of money.
Totally wish fulfillment. Like, yeah. And she's a librarian, which like to me is like the coolest job. Also when I was a kid. Like that was the other thing I wanted to be, was a librarian.
So it's incorrectly showing what it's like to be an archaeologist, a librarian, and a prisoner. I don't
Right. Yeah. The
Foreign Legionnaire.
may have, definitely, I wonder
So Rick dropped in that his whole platoon or whatever went over there without orders.
I think the orders came from his own commanding officer because he wanted to
They
search
wanted
for the
to
treasure.
hunt.
He
when they
wanted
were
to treasure hunt.
I guess they weren't at war, so they must not have been busy. Also, why was he not in uniform in that opening scene?
I thought that was their uniform, and they just didn't have a lot of money.
Oh, okay. I was like, everyone else had the hats and he didn't, even though he was like the second.
So that's what we were trying to figure out. So the only thing we can think of is he's
American.
in the Foreign Legion.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he basically, because he's the general, he has a different uniform because so there's the enlisted men and then there's him, because they basically go, oh, you just got a promotion. When the guy left, everyone just turned to him.
Well, then
So
he did.
he was, but like you kind of got the, like, so my theory was, oh, he's like a whatever colonel, like he's whatever the second sergeant.
Like
I don't know. Just like whatever. I'm
NCO
not
of some kind. Yeah.
like, he's basically another, he's like a rank, he's like an officer in the Foreign Legion.
I don't have the script.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't.
Yeah.
I also don't have my.
That's how I reconciled it. Yeah.
Yeah. I would generally assume officers wear a uniform, but maybe that was his uniform. So
That's
I
what
don't
I'm
know.
thinking. I mean, it was the Foreign Legion.
Also, Polina, mummies come back to life in this movie. And
Yeah, I know.
Don't give me that. There were no undead in that scene yet. And therefore, it's obligated to be accurate.
up to that point,
Isn't that how it works?
in your scripts, yes.
Sure.
So let me ask you a little bit, because clearly I am head over heels for Rick and Evie,
Right.
and that's just me. I'm giddy. I love watching them together. I love watching their dynamic. I love watching them frustrate each other, and also like not frustrate each other, I guess, like pleasantly surprise each other. Because that's some of that I don't consider to be heavy-handed, but when I've seen it before, it's just like, oh, when he has that nice haircut when he's out of the prison.
Right.
Yes, I love that. And then when she loses all of her luggage and then she is dressed up and he's like, oh, like that. I love those moments, because it's just so sweet. And when you're younger and you're trying to deny that you enjoy love origin stories, and instead I'm watching a mummy movie.
So actually, I forgot to ask, what year, or how old were you when you saw
If it was
The Mummy?
maybe about 18, 19. I was math.
And you were the same.
That was math mumble.
Yeah. I'm like, you're good at that math stuff.
Teens.
Yeah.
Same for you because
Same.
we
Yeah,
were very
about
close
19.
age.
Yeah, because you guys.
Yep.
Okay, sorry.
It was me asking you a question. I clearly love them, and I'm joined to them in my history. What did you think of their budding romancy relationship-iness?
I I think they have some real chemistry, and I really did enjoy their relationship. I think I enjoyed all the relationships in this movie. Like, they're all really, they sort of make sense. And I think much like Romancing the Stone, and I don't know if maybe I just actually like action adventure movies. I have no idea. Or like I'm reaching some phase of my life where I like it. Like, I used to only pretend to like punk music, and now I really enjoy it. So I don't know if this is like...
Hold on, I'm having a moment here. Yeah.
This may be wrong, but I felt like they did a good job, like where the romance part of it felt at once inevitable and yet didn't feel that shoehorned. Like, it didn't feel like that weird, like, oh, I have to, like,
you get a
I
toy
could
now.
see more cool Egyptian shit, or I could watch this, like, weird, like, kind of unconvincing love scene that I don't care about. And I just want them to go back to more Egyptian stuff. Like, I didn't have that. It kind of, it like felt very organic. And I think, you know, what you were saying is they were partners. Mm-hmm. They had to rely on each other.
Absolutely.
They were working toward a common goal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they sowed the seeds of them being attracted to each other, but just sort of like...
By being attractive, yes.
By being attractive. But
But just like a lot of little looks where it wasn't a big deal. Like,
yeah, it didn't slow the story down for it.
Right,
It just
right.
kind of worked in seamlessly.
but it was clear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the beginning, when he was about to be executed, you know, the whole thing where, you know, he kisses her, and this whole, like, that actually, like, kind of speeds up the whole, like, guards beating him up, sending him off to be, you know, hanged very quickly. So now, granted, it's not, like, the best scenario, but at the same time, it's not like, oh, they're gonna kiss because the thing you think, no, he's about to get executed. Let's try to, like, speed up some things here.
I think also, and I think her reaction to it too was like because she was like, later she was really mad. Mm-hmm. She was like, not cool, and not, especially not in front of all these people. I mean, it is 1920 and she's British, and like, I just think, well, no, I mean, just like a different, you know, like, just they have a different thing of, like, I don't know,
And
a different thing on yeah, exactly. She kind of like
the way they crap on Americans.
Yeah, they crap on Americans. There's these horrible, like, it's like this kind of broad American cowboy thing, which
We do suck.
Well, yeah, we do. And
Wasn't Rick apologetic about it afterward a little bit? I was about to be hanged. It seemed like a good idea at the time.
Yeah.
And that pissed her off too.
Right.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, and I think it pissed her off because she was like, well, if you're going to do that and you think it's not a big deal, like, first off, acknowledge that, like, you essentially, like, kiss me against my will. But third off, you, like, and you're like, not, you know, you're even nonchalant about it. Like, you know, have some reaction.
Acknowledge that something happened.
Yeah.
Not just like you were the only female.
Also, like, you know, she basically, like, is sold as a character that isn't, we don't know, because she's obviously, like, very adventurous, that, you know, is still shy.
Yeah, she's not that big of a
romance
pushover,
stuff.
because when all of the treasures are found, she steals the book from the other fortune hunters, and she steals the key from her brother.
Right.
And he's just like, that's called stealing. She's like, I believe that's called borrowing.
Yeah, my brother calls him borrow.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I feel like, no, but my other thing was, like, I think that she's kind of embarrassed about any, like, attraction that she feels toward him.
I sympathize with that.
And that felt, like, quite genuine, because she's, you know, that felt quite genuine for someone in that position at the time. And she is technically kind of his employer at that point.
Okay.
He's an independent contractor.
He's an independent contractor, but yeah.
It says contract over in the movie.
Right. And I think, like, anyway, but I guess, like, that, I don't know. I mean, she's really good. I have to say, like, Brendan Fraser being super, my only one complaint is, like, yeah, he's got, like, you know, 6 facial expressions, and they all work very well here. But, you know, I wanted a few more.
Oh, you wanted a few more?
I just wanted a couple more.
Well, would you have taken a few more that didn't work, or are you just happy with the 6 that all did?
I mean, I felt like the 6 were well chosen. Just, you know, I like a little variety.
He does scream at those mummies a bit, and I enjoyed it.
Oh yeah, no, it's like the whole thing. But no, I bought it. I bought into it. But how about you? So you saw this I mean, you know, I'm a cynical I'm a cynical middle-aged woman now, but like
I was a cynical teenager trying to pretend like this isn't as much fun.
But what was
there were decapitations, Polina. This movie is hardcore.
It was really, actually, it was terrifying and hardcore.
So you focus on that instead of the love story.
But like, yeah, but what was it that attracted you to that love story then?
It didn't. It just flowed well with the movie. That it was kind of an afterthought, kind of like some of the other movies I watch, where it's just like, oh yeah, this is a love story. I was focusing on the insert genre of a movie where it's not that or something.
I mean, I still am like, if I like, that is my favorite part of this movie. But I feel like it does it adds. They're so charming, and it's kind of it's sort of fun to watch, and it's fun to, I think the whole thing with her kind of battling her feelings, but her battling her feelings aren't like the center of the movie. It's not like,
no, they're battling for their lives too.
Right, and you like, it didn't feel that weird, like they're gonna die, but first we make out, like
No, they didn't.
No.
They didn't. They kissed once in the beginning.
Right.
And not consensual.
Only one of them was going to die.
Only one of them was going to die at the time. And then at the end, they even get made fun of for it.
Right.
By her brother. And then he kisses a camel. And the camel had bad breath.
As they do.
I don't make this movie sound very good, but it's fun.
No, it's super fun.
He kissed a camel.
Yeah.
Camel puppy.
So,
It was a cute camel.
what about you? Like, what was how did you feel about these romantic leads? Especially because you'd seen it, you were falling in love, or
And you
were in
cheated.
love.
And you cheated because you watched the first one or a second.
Well, yeah, that's kind of the
So
essence.
did you.
That's the wait. Yeah, I got confused. You did see the sequel before?
Saw the sequel
Yeah.
before I saw the
Both
movie.
of you saw the sequel
Right,
before.
yeah. So that was, I mean, and I actually wanted to ask you, Diana, how that affected your perception of it. And I guess I'll answer that too, because, I went into this already familiar with the characters and knowing them as they're portrayed in the sequel, not to jump ahead too much, but as an established couple who are like well into the relationship and have that rapport already. So, I mean, one of the things I would say positively about the first movie is that it makes the emergence of the relationship feel very organic, as you were saying. And, that fit right in with my perception already, because I was already used to thinking of the relationship as them having good screen chemistry and, it being a very believable sort of partnership. And, I mean, besides that, I don't have a whole lot to add to what you were saying. I felt like the, way that they kind of come to rely on each other and this growing respect for each other. It has this very natural arc. The audience's feelings go along with it in a way that really flows.
So rewatching it, did you, well, I mean, maybe some of this is the context of the reason you're watching it, but did their relationship or any of those things feel different?
Well, if we're talking about when I watched it then versus when I watched it
Yeah.
well, I'm focusing on different things.
Right.
But I've also seen this movie a crap ton of times. So it's not really anything like watching it with a very specific lens. I don't think it felt genuine as opposed to before when it felt genuine. Whereas genuine, and I'm trying to make a point on a podcast.
Right.
Yes, prove my point.
So do you? I think we didn't get to this part. So you rewatched this movie a bunch of times. Under what circumstance? I mean, you had it on VHS, but like,
and then DVD.
What would make you? What would sort of be happening that you were like, I'm gonna rewatch Mummy tonight
I don't think it
or
was
today?
I don't think it was specific.
It's not like you're, oh my God, I had like the worst day. I just want to watch The Mummy.
No,
or,
it's not like that.
you have people staying over and you're like, let's all watch The Mummy.
I don't think it came up to that point. It was just enjoyable. I'm going to watch this. It was part of a smaller set because I had my little Cusack section. And I had this one, and then I had like all these other things going on. So it's just enjoyable. Part of the VHS collection that wasn't recorded off of television. So not The Simpsons.
Did you rewatch it, Ryan?
Yeah, actually, I did. And this might apply more to the sequel, but I guess my feelings have kind of spilled over to the entire franchise. So I guess it applies here. I actually have kind of a strong association of both of the movies. We'll say this franchise being kind of a warm fuzzy thing for me, because the circumstances under which I first watched The Mummy Returns kind of stick out in my memory. It was. I guess my first semester at college it would have been, if it was, like fall of 2001. And I think I mentioned how I just went to the rental place and picked out movies. And I think the reason I was picking up movies was that I was fighting off a cold at the time or something. And this was right around midterms also. So this is the earliest part of my college experience where there are no makeup tests. And if you're sick when you have an exam, you have to just go take the exam while you're sick.
Yeah.
And I just remember standing outside some giant auditorium at 7 p.m. and just wanting to go home. And I either watched this movie before that or after that. And, it's not only, the movie itself is not only really good escapist fare, but it also came at a time when I was really craving escapism.
Right.
So I just remember it delivering on that especially nicely. It's this is a nice story with nice people, and my nice new girlfriend feels the same way. She told me it was good.
Nice.
Okay, well, that derailed my train of thought.
Sorry.
Stop complimenting me.
That's
Sorry.
nice.
No. Well, then, so you don't have a full-on history about it, but I would like to know when you thought they fell in love.
So it's interesting because I still feel like I feel like she fell in love with him, or she kind of had a first sight crush thing.
Okay.
When she saw him in the
prison?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I don't think she really admitted it to herself, I think. And then she sees him and he's all cleaned up, and she's because she's just super suddenly very awkward and feels very awkward. So I think that for her it was kind of a first sight thing. I mean, it's still they're I don't know. This isn't this isn't, I don't know about them being in love, but I feel like it's better than I don't know. There was another movie I remember we talked about that were and I wish I could remember the movie, but it was maybe because it was about teenagers, and it was are they really in love, or they just kind of like each other? Okay. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But
that could have been Bonnie and Clyde for all we know.
Right. I mean, that's a whole other relationship. But but anyway, so I'm kind of on the fence on that. But I feel like with him, I feel like I think in a way, there's a couple moments where basically she shows her kind of competence and her genius. And I think in a way, there's a bunch of moments. I think definitely when he sees her, there's this whole thing where he sees her coming toward, she basically, they lose all their, they have to, they lose all their clothes. And so she ends up wearing these, quote unquote Bedouin clothes, which are it's kind of BS, but the actual clothes. But they were, she's sort of she's kind of in these sort of sexy clothes, and he sees her and he's just kind of overcome. But I think that actually there's a moment later where her brother makes a joke where he's oh, well, we could just sell off, it'd be easy. We just sell off my sister. And his reaction is so I think he sort of gets caught off guard, because he's you know, that like we cannot ever have that happen. And I think the depth of his reaction, the sort of visceralness of it, surprises him. And I think that's when he realizes that he's like,
weird. Because I actually remember that scene differently than the way you just described
it. Interesting.
Because it was actually Rick who made the comment. He's like, because Jonathan is upset that he's spending that much for the camels.
Yeah.
And he comes back with like, it could have been a lot faster. You could have just, given him your sister. And Jonathan said like, oh, that's pretty tempting. And you see Evie walking up, and his reaction is just like, because he said, oh, that would have been really tempting. She walks up, she's dressed up in that outfit, and he goes, very tempting. And he wasn't referring to the offer. He was referring to his sister.
Yeah.
So the way you described it, I remember it being more like an attraction, not really a visceral,
right.
We can't let that happen scenario.
Right. But see, I felt like it was, it was like more than that to me, because I think he'd seen her before, and there were just those moments I think he was always attracted to her, right? Like, I do think that first kiss wasn't because he was like madly in love with her. It was like, this is the last woman he'll ever kiss.
I'm just saying, I read the scene differently.
No, I know. That's what's interesting about it. Yeah. So anyway, I think that's it for me. Yeah. I felt like this was one of those slow builds, It
was. It really was a slow build, because they mainly touch each other in an attempt to, again, save their lives. Yeah. From a reanimated corpse. Pretty cool reanimated corpse.
Oh, amazing. Yeah.
Yep. I like to keep mentioning the gross things to kind of offset the...
Oh, it's definitely, like, well, gosh, there's so much gross things. I mean, it's truly terrifying. Like, basically, the way that he mummifies, the whole movie, that scene when they take...
Yeah, the whole explanation of the curse.
Yeah, and when they take him to be... So it's like to be mummified in those, like, they're wrapping him up, and you're like, and he's straining against us, and you're like, here's a strong guy who knew what he was getting into. Yeah. And yet it's still so horrifying.
I think I noticed for the first time how genuinely terrified he looked as the bandages were going on. We were also reading trivia. Apparently the actor was not having a good time in that scene, so that might have been just a real reaction.
Well, also, he didn't know exactly what was happening, so when he watched the scene, he was horrified at what the actual final problem was.
And then they're going to take all of the other high priests, and they're going to mummify them alive. Right. And if you know what, it's like, if you were into, like ancient Egyptian stuff as a kid, you were also, like, of course, really into the mummification part, because it's so insane. It's so intense and so cool. Yeah. And it has all these tools. I mean, it's just amazing. And then there's jars.
Yeah. And we got Evie's description of it later.
Right.
Talking about they go up through the nostril and swirl the brain around.
Right. Yeah. And they did it to them when they were alive. Like, that's all I could think about. I was like, that part was also, and it wasn't like a big scene, but they do a really good job in making it so horrifying.
Now, is that the scene of what happened?
Yeah.
Okay. Because did you read the rest of the trivia where apparently texts show that the whole putting the nose poker up and swirling around and pulling it out through the nose thing wasn't accurate? And since Evie is considered to be knowledgeable of this, there actually is a theory that she was doing that just to make Rick squirm. Oh, and that's even cuter.
Yes.
I'm going to believe that trivia as real.
Yeah.
Because it's really, really cute. Oh, but you're a strong guy. Well, I'm going to make you feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, like it's just, and I don't know, it's all fascinating.
Speaking of mummified corpses, honey, when do you think they fell in love?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's not a question I really had asked myself on previous viewings. Again, mainly due to the whole seeing the sequel first thing, but I was concentrating very much on it as we were watching it last time, because I knew you would ask me this, and I I almost wanted to go with like the scene where Evie gets drunk, but I think
that was one of my other ones.
I don't think she really.
She also says the best. Like, this is when I fell in love with. I was like, I'm out. Is when she's like, I'm even more important than that, I'm a librarian. And I was like, oh my God, yes.
But
I was a very lonely child. I spent a lot of time with librarians.
But ultimately, I can't ascribe too much significance to a scene that she probably didn't remember. And
Consent matters.
what really struck me is the moment where I felt like their relationship took a turn toward a true emotional bond. Because I agree with you that it was infatuation from first sight, and I wouldn't really describe them as having like a really stable relationship until probably after the movie ends for the next segment. But the turning point in this viewing for me, I think, was the scene after the disaster at Hamunaptra has happened. Hamunaptra has happened, and Imhotep is alive now or undead, and they're arguing about what they're going to do next. Evie is trying to pack a suitcase and Rick keeps unpacking it, I think is how it went. And they're basically arguing about whose responsibility it is to save the world at that point, which incidentally, why isn't Oded Fehr's character in charge at that point? I mean, he belongs to the mummy fighting organization. But anyway.
I think they feel responsibility.
Yeah.
Because they opened
Because
it.
they are literally responsible.
I mean, that's another, like, I just want to, like, it's like there's some problematic stuff about, like, the fact that, they, like, go in to take objects of a land they do not belong to.
I mean,
but that was a problem in the 1920s.
That was just what you did back then.
Yeah,
that
exactly.
Was pretty, par for the course.
It's treasure.
Exactly.
Yeah, which is
finders
keepers. And just like the fact that they're like, let's ignore these people that tell us this is dangerous.
Yes,
and even if they don't believe it, it's completely disrespectful. But it also of its time.
Well, they 99. Okay.
No, I mean the 20s.
What I also like though is his comment about that, how the fact that the Americans, not Rick, but the other Americans are just like, they're just trying to scare us off because they just want the treasure. He's like, these people value water.
Exactly. Because he's been living among them.
Yeah.
Or he's been in Egypt for a while.
Okay, so to finish my answer, number one, I feel like there is, even though they're arguing about their responsibility toward saving the world from a spellcasting mummy, the subtext is about their responsibility to one another. And the scene is also kind of weighted down by the prospect that, if Rick indeed runs away and makes us no longer his problem, that's goodbye between him and Evie, which gets a little bit acknowledged, but that's also like that's the first real test of like, are you starting to care about this person? And if so, is it going to change your decision? And even though they are sort of forced by circumstances, you do see him like much more committed to the adventure, committed to the fight after that point. Actually, it kind of reminds me of what the scene that I pointed out as being really significant when we talked about the Bourne identity. That was also the I guess we should part ways now. And then they're kind of
but we
reluctant.
can't.
Yeah,
we just can't. Like we don't know. Like we should, but we can't.
Right.
Yeah. Like something's pulling me toward it. Which I mean, it like the movie begins with a scene of people of basically a love that's so powerful that they were both willing to basically die for it and die in a gruesome way.
I'm so excited to talk about the sequel.
Okay.
Spoiler.
Sorry.
Spoiler for this episode.
So how about you, Diane?
What I think is kind of amazing about these two is that what you were saying, Polina, about the whole infatuation at first sight. And there's just all these different pieces of it, like when the movie is trying to tell us it's happening, or, when the turning is happening in their perceptions of each other. Some of them are obvious, some of them are in the script, and some of them are easy to just feel. One of them that really stuck out to me was when they were having the race into the city, when the city appeared with the sunrise, and the fact that, they're all racing to, because there's $500 on the line. By the way, how much is that in, 1926?
Probably a few thousand at least.
A lot. The answer is a lot. So So they're racing for it, and they get to the point where she gets to pull ahead, but they're actually racing together in parallel.
Yeah.
And you just see this look, and it's just like this amazing adventure, but it's just like this kind of clinging to one another. So that's just...
And yet, like, also spurring each other on,
Yes.
but then also competing, and then also,
competing, but at the same time, they're on the same team, but at the same time, it's not like she gets the 500, or maybe she does.
Well, no, but it's clear they're going to share. Like, it's clear that they're the three of them.
They kind of need that. So to me, that's like the beginning buds of just the one step beyond attraction, the love at first sight type of thing. One of the other pieces that really got to me was when she had lost all of her things, and he brought her the entire
the tools.
The tools.
Yeah,
that
the
she just
archaeology
unraveled.
tools.
He's like, yeah, I got this thing for you, and then he just kind of like, and she just opens it up, and she's just like, she has this like moment on her face.
Oh, that is nice.
Do you remember when I stole you your first gift?
Was it a blue trumpet?
Wait, what?
That's a reference to
because the archaeology tools were stolen.
I know, but
I don't have another fun joke after that.
Okay, sorry,
I thought you actually did that. No, I was like,
no.
We don't steal. We're too cowardly.
We developed the system where we steal after dinner mints, but it's not really stealing because they're free.
I don't feel like that's stealing. They offer
that's
them
the closest
to you.
we get to stealing, Polina.
I know. You guys are very, very, very good.
It's really just Diana's entitled to take one, but she doesn't like them, so I eat hers.
But we pretend that, I got mints for us. Wait, I got mints for us. And then I give him all of them. He likes mints.
Sean will order extra pickles and then give them to me.
Aww. That is love.
Or sometimes he'll just give me, even though he kind of wants it, he'll still give me his pickle.
I eat Ryan's fries. He still wants them. That's love.
Sean,
Wait. Okay. But here's the thing that I think that's in my heart. I think she knows that she loves him when she is being taken by like Imhotep's legions are surrounding them, and she says like, no, because if he still has to do the ritual, then we still have time to find the other book. But what she says to him as she's going, if he turns me into a mummy, you're the first person I'm coming back to kill. And I don't know why, but for me, that's just, she's actually thinking about this. I will be dead, but you're the first person I'm coming back for.
Right. No.
To kill.
Right.
But for some reason,
to join, because, but it's also part of the whole story is that they're both going to die like this. I mean, the whole story that starts this madness is of these two, this legend that they both, knew they were going to die. And that was part of it, is they were going to, they were going to bring each other back to life kind of thing.
But it also speaks to just the fact that this is a goofy movie.
Right.
Her goofy, her moment, her love moment will be when she says, I'm going to kill you.
Right. But I guess I took it more in the even though it was a joke, it was like it was kind of in an epic sense.
I just think it's great that you and I read the scenes differently.
Yeah.
Your question did make me curious, though, because even though she was going to be sacrificed in order to bring the other one back, it's not like she was going to be a host body or anything. So they could both theoretically be independent mummies. And then if Evie does kill Rick and brings him back as a mummy, then they're just 4 mummies. Could they have been together that way?
So
we're talking like The Mummy 4, Mummies in Love.
Sequel.
Mummies in Love. Sexy mummies. No, we already did that.
Well, that was another really terrifying thing, is she's like next to the mummy.
Oh, yeah.
On this
She kissed him.
It was so weird.
No, like during the sacrifice.
Yeah. That mummy.
Yeah.
Well, sorry.
Yeah.
There's.
I mean, the kiss also absolutely terrifying.
Then the rat crawled across her, which felt a little bit gratuitous. At that point,
I was
honestly.
like, everything is so intense.
We just can't have a love story, can we?
The rat kind of felt like gilding the lily at that point.
Yeah, it was like, this is a truly horrific. Yeah, I found this movie absolutely. I did. I had total nightmares last night, even talking about it.
So what happens next, Polina?
I enjoyed it.
Well,
and to be fair, since Ryan, okay, so I. As we have had in previous episodes, that we may or may not follow this rule. I've made it a point that I am going to follow this rule. So I'm invoking this rule.
Even though we have repeatedly reminded Diana that it's her show, she can do whatever she wants.
It's also Polina's show, so I have to do what I think that I should want. What?
Basically, we each have our own theory about this.
Much like how we
but we each think we have the same theory about it.
No, I know it's different, and I've accepted the fact that you're just going fine to use it whenever you want.
Yeah.
So I'm
Well,
establishing
it's
a
my way.
rule that, and this is my way. I steal mints and that's it. I follow rules, cram it.
Even with the mints, we're still following the rules, I think. But
Yeah, you kind of are.
Diana likes rules.
I mean, yeah, I feel like with the mints, yeah,
This isn't
you're a
about
more
me.
rigid person. I mean, not like in a bad way. You have like a strong sense of what is
Minty.
what needs to happen, and I am
point
much
is-
more loosey goosey.
The point is, Polina
I
was
don't
the one who
care.
pointed this out, and I decided to run with it. So I discovered that The Mummy and the Mummy Returns has a la before
Beep Sunrise.
/ The Born Identity, counteracted by The Cutting Edge, et cetera, et
Right.
cetera.
The cutting edge still fits into the theory.
No,
according to
it
me.
does. That's why I'm still
Yeah,
following
yeah.
it. So The Mummy and the Mummy Returns have both the same director, writer, and stars.
Right. See?
But
Yep.
but the great thing is that the one after that doesn't.
Yeah. So we only really
so
deal
I
with
only
the
need to
second one.
speak to The Mummy Returns, but because Ryan and I have the sequel to work with, and I am enacting the rule, Polina, I think you should go first.
I'm happy to do that. I've never seen The Mummy Returns.
Wait, no, boo.
Well, I don't like sequels.
Boo.
Because I completely disagree with the reason you like sequels. I mean, I don't disagree with how you like them, but I disagree with your theory about sequels.
Theory being
It's not that it's a theory. It's why I think that a sequel will age a movie faster because it's bigger, louder, faster.
Okay. I
No,
misunderstood.
that's not
You're
what
like,
makes a sequel. That isn't what makes a sequel better. That's just what happens with sequels.
right, they are. They tend to be more.
despite making them more appealing in the short term sometimes, and that and we found that most of our stories where we like the sequel more than the original come down to that, right?
Yeah,
Terminator and Terminator 2,
I'm the exact opposite.
Alien and Aliens.
Trying to think. I don't
Terminator 2 is
know.
just a good movie.
But
I don't know if I
it's-
agree.
It's ramped up is the point.
Right.
True.
I liked.
The fight scenes are faster and more frequent.
Right.
I thought Alien was better.
Watch.
Yeah, I kind of liked Alien.
Feel free to watch, like, my best example of this is watch the original Iron Man and then watch, like, Avengers Infinity War. See how quickly Tony Stark becomes Iron Man in the first one. It's like
Yeah. No, I
45
totally agree with
seconds
you.
of-
I totally agree with you that they're like louder and faster and bigger, and that's what I don't like. So I think that's usually it. But anyway,
Yes.
that's my thing. And it's not like everything, because I feel like there's a lot of the Batman movies are better than the first one. But anyway, I feel like,
Whoa.
well, maybe not. I don't know, but whatever.
Have you seen the most recent ones?
Well, not all of them. I'm just saying, like, there's anyway. The point is,
Coming next week, Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, the 3-hour.
yeah. Don't be mean to me.
I would never do that to you
No, thank
because
you.
then I would do it to me.
Yeah, exactly. No one would be happy. So, okay, so I may be completely wrong, but I think that basically I think that they kind of honeymoon, they hang out for a while, and they're, basically at this point she's going to be super famous in archaeology circles.
Because she freed
She's
all
an
the people from being enslaved by Imhotep.
Yeah, well, that too. I mean, so basically, they're going to become celebrities, right? I mean, they're going to be
Like world celebrities or like archaeology celebrities?
no, I think like world celebrities.
Okay.
I think they're going to be. These explorers were famous. I mean, these explorers were exciting. These explorers got a lot of press. The explorers are why people bought newspapers. Like, people liked to read their stories. That was just true. And I think they're going to become like these people. This is they're going to become them. She is going to hate that. At first, she's going to love it because she'll get access to a lot of things. But I think ultimately, she kind of wants to get back to her research and start finding out about things. And I think this is where they I actually think they will be together. Like, I think they will be together for a long time, but I think that what they want out of life is going to be kind of different. And I think that but I think they're going to make it, they're like, at first that's going to be attention, but I think that as time goes on, I mean, it is the 20s and the 30s. And like, I think that there's some models for these kind of relationships where, you know, like, I think he will continue to sort of be an explorer. And I think he'll like the fame parts of it a lot more. I think she will kind of want to go back to research, but I think she will kind of gain the strength to like kind of open her own, I don't know, museum or found, you know, I think probably like somewhere out of somewhere in a university department. I think she'll start working out of that because obviously, or maybe she'll just go back to the place she was working
her boss
before.
Died, so
oh, that's true. Her boss is dead. Yeah.
She's in charge now.
But I don't think she wants to do the administration stuff. I think she wants to just do the research. So I think she'll like run that. I think now, and so I think that freedom, but I do think they'll stay together because I do think that I think they genuinely, you know, like their partnership, but I just think it's going to be kind of an interesting and kind of an unusual one. I don't think they'll have any children, but I think they will probably each have, you know, they'll each have, I guess, other, you know, romantic interests that they'll indulge in, and I think they're just like they're kind of sort of bohemian, kind of, she's like an intellectual, and I think they'll kind of live an adventurous life. But I think it'll be balanced with her kind of wanting a little more time to really do the research and not just like collect objects. Because to her, the objects aren't interesting they're interesting in the clues that they offer and the additions to the body of knowledge, you know, of that time. And I think, I mean, she's going to have to, you know, she's going to have to give a lot of talks. She's going to be flying around the world.
That's nice. I was going to ask, not to, well, actually, your theory, but I mean,
it's okay, please. There's a lot of room for well, actually.
Well, I mean, does it bother you that like toward the end, I feel like part of the climax was that they failed to like bring back any evidence from Hamunaptra, like they lost the book, the golden book, and they had to leave it behind in order to escape. Although they did have that bag full of golden artifacts.
They have a satchel of treasure.
Yeah, they have actual evidence, and she saw it and she can speak to it and she's read it and she so I think like there's enough evidence that she's seen it.
Yeah, and hopefully they're not just going to sell all that stuff, because that's like my view of like archaeology when it wasn't so scholarly, like we saw in the movie. It's like look at this stone covered in writing, break it open in case there's gold under it.
Right, exactly. Well, then that's the thing, and actually maybe that's also going to be her contribution, is sort of like, because she's learned that these objects, obviously it's, you know, this whole thing that like she spends a lot of time going, I don't believe in, you know, hokum. She uses the word hokum a lot, like a lot. But you know, and so to her, she's studying it at a remove and really realizing that stuff is real. That like, well, and in the movie, that a lot, and the respect that she has for like the tribe that is trying to protect everything. I actually think that that might be part of her legacy.
Oh yeah,
her legacy to scholarship is just, and maybe she sort of shifts some of the thinking around this stuff, that it's not just these like pretty objects, that they should remain. And maybe that's actually, okay, I'm gonna do this. Okay. She actually, instead of, you know, having everything go back to, you know, moldy, moist, cold Britain.
Oh, Britain. Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about the mummies again.
Where like It's
Juicy.
juicy. Oh my God, that was the best use of the word juicy. I love how they look at each other and they go, he's
Juicy.
juicy. Yeah, that's the word. It was great. I mean, they didn't say that's the word, but just like, look. Anyway.
No, they use that word.
Yeah. No, they used the word, but like they didn't say, oh yeah, that's the word I'm looking for, juicy. But yeah, but like that she basically starts maybe a movement of scholarship within Egypt rather than shipping all this stuff back to places where it cannot be as well preserved.
Oh, that's a nice thought because Egypt is in her blood, as she says. And,
Exactly. That's the thing. She's part Egyptian. Okay. Okay.
and to your point of them becoming famous, that was certainly a very overt set of supernatural disasters to strike Cairo. So they're not going to like be hurting for proof about the
Right.
existence of the
That's
mummy,
what I
you know?
mean. Yeah.
Unless everyone was under some sort of spell and
you
no
think
one
that-
remembers anything.
Were the men covered in boils who became his slaves? Were they like undead? Did they recover? Because they were pretty cavalier about like massacring them for their.
They
own
were pretty
protection.
cavalier in general. Like, yeah, just like it's sort of like, okay, they open up. So they basically created this natural disaster in another country.
Multiple.
Yeah, multiple.
He brought the 10 plagues.
Yeah, and like
see any
you never really see anyone from like they're not like, God, I feel kind of responsible for doing this to this country. It's like, I don't know. Anyway, I'm not going to get. I'm
It's
not
self-preservation, Polina.
right, but like no one from the it's like, oh well, it's the important thing is that we survive with these objects, not like how do we save these people? Like we've.
Yeah.
Like it's like it's like starting a forest fire and being like, I really hope I can get my tent back, not the thousands of acres that I'm just the important thing is that I leave and I
No,
get
let's
my
focus on the true villain of this movie, Benny.
tent. Right, Benny. So
No comeuppance.
yeah,
He got a lot of comeuppance.
I know
That was satisfying.
that was yeah
Although we weren't commenting that nice moment where that in spite of all that, they still try to save him at the last
Yes.
minute.
yeah
Yeah.
Because they can't be truly evil.
Yeah. They're stand-up heroes.
right.
Or in that case, crouching down. Yes.
Wait.
Did you finish? Because
No.
you had talked to Polina a little bit, but did you start to talk
I don't
about
think you did yours.
Oh, wait.
Your what
I thought
happened?
I thought we weren't doing them.
Oh, no. I figured we'd do some basic ones. Oh, okay. Sorry, we got confused here. So I stand.
So I have the freedom because I don't know anything. I have no knowledge of the canon.
Whereas I have knowledge of the sequel. I have no knowledge of the third one, but I don't speak to it as being real.
Right. We've decided that for the sake of this podcast,
Yeah.
it's only the first two count as.
So I can speak to the second one without spoiling the second one, with the exception of something that's actually abundantly obvious within the first 2 minutes of the movie. And I'm sure you will not care about that. And I could speak beyond that because I have a few thoughts.
Of what happens to them after the second movie?
Yes.
Well, why don't you go ahead and do that while I think of something then?
Oh, that's okay.
I got confused about the rules.
Yeah, because you did say you weren't going to do it.
No, I said that I was going to invoke the rule, but you still asked me questions.
Right.
I'm sorry, where's the governing document for this?
Yeah, exactly. And where's the governing body for this rule?
This post-it right here.
Sorry, it says Frankie and Mark.
Can I get a PDF of that post-it?
Poofed. That is my reaction to you. Poofed.
All right. I feel like, well, then if Ryan doesn't feel, I think he should
if
get
you
a
don't-
pass.
if
I
you
think
don't-
he should get a pass.
I was about to speak my piece, and if you want to do that, you can if you want to.
No, I'll just go ahead and establish the scope, and I'll just work within that framework.
Here's the scope that I have. Okay. So, based off of what I can pluck from The Mummy Returns, they get married, they have a family, but the family that they have only speaks to a certain point in time. So, I'm going to say.
So after that.
So, their family will consist of a daughter and son. The son shall be older. What's going to happen with what you were saying is the whole this is what I think is going to happen. They're going to maintain, she's going to do scholarly stuff, and he is someone who will participate. But what I really like about them is that they have independent lives.
Yeah.
He was thrust in this situation because she brought it to him, and she is focusing on this one thing, and he is supportive of that. So if movies have taught us anything, another MacGuffin is going to come, and it's going to create another adventure with another something. Okay. And that'll probably happen like 12 times if you have, how many are there? There's 5 Scorpion King movies.
I think we agreed there are 8 movies in this continuity.
Yes, that is correct. But all with different, actors and what have you, so it doesn't matter. But what I want to say is based off what you were talking about, Polina, as much as I want to believe that she'll go back to scholarly things, if you remember correctly, she faces a lot of crap for being a woman in the field.
Yeah.
So she's going to have to deal with that constantly. And he's going to have to be supportive of that. But at the same time, it's going to be a headbutting scenario. Not to mention, do you think that she cares anything about like the women's movement? If we're talking about this time frame, I'm aware of it from the United States suffragette movement, et cetera, et cetera. But
No, there was a bit. I mean, there was.
I'm just wondering how much of that is she going to try to leverage?
No, I don't think so. I don't think she. I mean, I think that she will be
Wait, this is my scenario.
called. Yeah. Oh, okay. So what do you think? I'm sorry.
So I'm thinking that as much as I want to believe that there'll be celebrities, I really think that as much as I want to believe that they should and deserve that kind of thing, she might get overshadowed by it. And it's going to be like, oh my God, Rick did this whole thing. And
yeah. I mean, Amelia Earhart was a celebrity. There was the woman. Oh God, I always forget her name. But there was a woman who tried to
clearly celebrity
video. No. It's me. But she was really big at the time. She tried to bicycle around the world. It's kind of an interesting story. But anyway, she's American. Yeah, I feel like, I don't know. That's interesting. Like, yeah, so you're saying that her being a woman and the fact that she's like basically the nerd, she will be overshadowed by Billy.
I'm concerned that she would want to do that, but...
By Rick, I mean. I just called him Billy. I'm not sure why.
Who's Billy?
I don't know.
It's not even her brother's name.
Yeah.
Because we were having that conversation about Billy Zane.
I think I just got, I just had a moment.
Zane. Yeah, okay.
The poor man's Arnold Vosloo.
So where was I? I think that she's going to want to try to move forward with that, and she may have to go back to working in a museum. But I think from there, that kind of overshadowed situation is going to bring her back to the secret society that was trying to protect, make sure that Imhotep was not going to come back to life. And if supernatural things have taught us anything, these things are never gone.
Right.
I mean, unless they come up with another idea, in which case then they're gone. Doesn't matter. I'm speaking of the third movie that I haven't seen. So what I think is going to happen is that even though she longs to keep looking and she wants to be part of this, the fact that people will not take her seriously, this particular society, even though it's all men, has seen what she has accomplished. So what she does is she decides to go back to the museum where her boss was part of it anyways. And she decides to get more information about that kind of thing. And they're going...
What do you mean? What kind of thing?
Oh, no, he's part of the society. So like he has all this information. So she gets to look into the history of that. And she gets to go back and decides that because she was part of what happened in the first place and she feels responsible for what happened, she decides that the rest of her future is going to be this kind of work involving this was the history of what happened. She's able to do both. She's able to get history that has been protected because if it was ever come to life, then people would go hunting for it. But at the same time, though, she's also trying to make up for the sins of what happened with all the various plagues that came from resurrecting this mummy.
What do you mean, like how, do you mean by...
Becoming part of this society?
Oh, becoming part of the society that protects them.
Yeah, and she will be
but sort of from
where her previous boss was. She decides to take up reins there and be part of it that way. And Rick supports it because he understands that it's not fair that she isn't going to be taken as seriously.
And what happens to him?
He's going to be supportive of her. They're going to raise a family together. They're going to keep that treasure so that she can keep up on what she's doing. But apparently, according to you, she has money anyway, so it's not that big of a deal.
It's my theory.
It is interesting that you touch on the purpose of this secret society that has existed continuously for 3,000 years, just on the chance that this one undead creature comes back. And now,
it's a big thing, though.
Yeah, and like, what is their purpose now that he's been destroyed? Finally,
has he?
Has he? I don't know. I do know. We'll find out. Polina will find out.
Will I?
Don't look at the title for the sequel. It's a spoiler.
Does it have the word returns?
It doesn't have the word Scorpion King.
Well, in this language, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Is it my turn?
Yeah.
If you'd like it to be.
I feel like I'm so bad at this part. Mine are never.
You can do a pass.
Okay. No.
I'm so excited now. You're going to be terrible. Go.
I think my scenarios would be along the same lines as yours. Although, I was considering that if I had only seen this movie and you asked me this question, I think I probably would have predicted that they would, have a whirlwind romance lasting maybe a few years and eventually go their separate ways. Mm-hmm. But in light of the sequel, I'm as I hinted at before, much more inclined to see them as like a real couple. And in light of the whole franchise, I don't have any trouble seeing them.
You're not tied to my rules.
I'm not tied. Is anyone?
Yes.
Okay. You're?
I am.
That's what matters. Yeah.
You're tied to my finances legally, but you're not tied to my rules.
The important thing is you follow them. That's your integrity.
Until I give up.
Yes. But yes, something that I've noticed from being an avid HEAMCast listener is that some of your best answers with these period pieces come when you consider like what's going to happen in world history later.
Right.
And at the risk of invoking that Indiana Jones comparison that you probably don't want to hear that much about.
Crystal skulls?
I was going to say World War II, actually.
Mm-hmm. With crystal skulls?
With Jade Emperors, I think is what. Oh, that's the non-canon one. Sorry, but yes, I see them staying together. I like the notion of them being involved in sort of the aftermath of the disasters that have hit Cairo and maintaining their, geographic and cultural ties to that region that, obviously it's where Evie is happiest and wants to be anyway. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking when World War II rolls along, there's this whole, North African theater of that war that Britain is in. They're going to be, I guess, in their 50s around that time.
Because it would be 20. Well, it's 23
in the 20s. Yeah. So
I mean the movie. 26. Right.
Yeah. And
okay.
If we assume they're like maybe late 20s, pushing 30. So yeah, maybe in their 40s or 50s
right.
by that age. So.
God, we're approaching 2026. Not too far from now.
Sorry.
I'm just when you said 26, I'm like,
20. We're approaching several years, including 2026.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, I'm just saying we're not.
2027, 2025, 2028.
When you said
2032.
When you said 26, I'm like, you have to specify, not now.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That was my point. Was sure, mock me further.
Anytime.
But yes,
in the 20s.
Anyway, yes.
Or do I have to wait till 1926? Or 2000. See, I fucked it up. I can never keep it going.
But anyway, yeah. So I haven't spun too much of an elaborate story, but I do sort of see like maybe the North African theater of World War II being their next great adventure if they like can get involved with. I don't know if they would be in some sort of advisory capacity, but Rick is a veteran in the French military, which is significant. I don't know if he's maybe. It's never established on what terms he parted ways with the Foreign Legion. I don't know if he was a deserter or whatever, but
they're all dead, so
yeah. Well, the entire Legion isn't dead. It was just
I got a dishonorable discharge before he was eaten by a mummy. Bye.
How many criminal sentences is he going to escape anyway?
Bye.
But yeah, I mean, they're.
I mean, they were just drafting criminals into the French Foreign Legion at the time anyway, so it was like they're probably like, you win some, you lose some.
But yeah, I think the North African theater could be their next great adventure. And also they go through a series of spiritual crises as they struggle with the knowledge that the afterlife is real. And how do you go back to everyday life after that?
Oh, wow. Yeah. And also like, I think the theater is interesting. I wonder if like will it be maybe in a capacity where they can like they're trying to save some antiquities and other objects from like being destroyed in the fighting.
Yeah,
and so to try to keep the looting from any looting from happening.
But they're looters, technically.
They have to out-loot the Nazis. That's how you win the war.
Yeah, exactly.
Too soon.
And clearly the film franchise can't go there because it would just feel a little bit too derivative at that point. But we'll always have the fanfic.
What are you reading?
What are we writing is the real question.
Yeah, exactly.
What are you writing?
As we find out that actually secretly Ryan and I have been writing mummy fan fiction since we worked together 4 years ago.
You might think that never having seen the movie would be detrimental.
But it's actually an asset. See, it all started one happy hour. Have you ever seen The Mummy?
She started off writing fanfic about the Boris Karloff version.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I love that movie.
Some people came in and started writing one about the Tom Cruise version. You're like, get out.
Yeah, we don't talk to you.
Oh, that movie.
I would like to recognize that there are probably many people who are huge fans of the Mummies, movies.
The classical one?
The classic ones. And then, this happened. They're just like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I mean, I've never seen the original Mummy movie, but I do understand it to be like not action adventure at all. It's purely kind of like psychological drama horror. And then, maybe they feel about that the same way we do about the Tom Cruise one. It's just
it's like, but there was you had something good. Why'd you miss it? Oh, man, it can't be that hard. Somebody already did it. Why?
My one sentence review of that movie: Sofia Boutella deserved better.
Oh.
I would like to say that I deserved better.
So did the audience.
I am the audience.
All right. We did it. We talked about the Mummy.
We did talk about the Mummy. And I was actually scanning through all of the Brendan Fraser movies, and I was trying to make some sort of joke about, coming next week, Furry Vengeance. As Frasuary continues. Yeah. But, Polina laughs, so that works for me. But I think it's abundantly clear that we are going to continue with The Mummy Returns.
Yeah.
Hooray.
2001?
2001, yes.
2001, that's good.
So
times.
So
we can trim down the conversation.
I was told that it's entertaining and that I will not be miserable.
And we can trim down the conversation about where we were, because we'll actually have it straight this time. Okay, I saw it.
Right. You guys please work out your story.
You work out your story.
I looked it up on where to watch, and then I pressed the button.
See, you don't have a story.
I can tell you. I put on my fuzzy blanket on my body, and I had some tea.
The story.
I was drinking some golden milk, and
Recommend. So we're talking about Scorpion King 2 or 4?
Technically, this is like the prequel to the Scorpion King.
It's the introduction of the Scorpion
Please don't
King.
make me watch any more sequels. Just the one. Just the one. Please,
these are the only
for the love
ones.
of God.
I watched half of the third one and gave up.
Okay.
So you don't want to watch Weekend at Bernie's 2? That's also about
I don't really want to watch Weekend at Bernie's.
Reanimated corpse.
Right. Yeah. No, I know. I know what it's about. You
know what Weekend at Bernie's 2 is about?
I assume it's about the same thing Weekend at Bernie's 1 is about.
Actually, no.
You would assume wrongly.
Oh, really?
All right, screw that. We're not doing The Mummy Returns. We're doing Weekend at Bernie's 2.
No, Free.
It's a lot like...
Why did I say something?
It's a lot like The Karate Kid Part 3, where there's like an abandoned love story in the middle.
But I liked The Karate Kid. Why would I watch Karate Kid 3? Why would I ruin it for myself? I saw Karate Kid 2. Why would I keep going?
Okay, fine. The next Karate Kid.
I could just rewatch Karate Kid. This is what I don't understand. If you liked it, you can just rewatch it.
You can calm down, because I think I could make an excellent case for the Karate Kid for this podcast.
Totally. Oh my God, I was upset. That's on my list.
Was that Twitter that just went aflutter? If you would like us to talk about the Karate Kid, you can find us at HEAMCast.
Yeah, HEAMCAST.
Or you can find us on Facebook at Happily Ever Aftermath.
Right, or even Instagram
at at HEAMCast as well.
You can find me retweeting HEAMCast.
Yeah.
Do you want to plug your Twitter?
Just look on the retweets. You'll find me. It's my name.
Yes.
He's also one of the few people who likes any of my tweets. I have no.
You're one every 6 to 8 months.
Yeah, exactly.
I like to help.
You can also get us on our email. We're at contact@heamcast.com. I want to give a special thanks to the Lady Pod Squad helping us out.
Fantastic stuff.
You can find them if you search the hashtag Lady Pod Squad. And a tiny shout out to Everything I Learned from Movies. They have an interview of the gentleman who played the boss, Evie's boss in there, Erick Avari, I want to say.
Oh my God.
I will put that in the show notes.
Yes, please.
I wanted to call him, when we mentioned him, friend of the podcast, Stephen Izzy. Yes. So that counts, right? That's like 12 degrees to Brendan
He's
Fraser.
basically our best friend.
Oh, yeah.
And we're going to, and we're friends with Brendan Fraser now.
Yeah. And
that's
also,
how it happens.
And also managed to check out that episode of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air that he was on, because that's always my point.
Ooh, I may. Now I just really want to watch Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
I'll just listen to the theme song on YouTube.
Oh, it's so good.
It's also good. And I want to give a special thanks to Frankie and Murr, considering how much like decaying things that we had to witness.
Right.
It's probably a good idea to come back to like good smelling things.
I actually did after, because I was so freaked out. I had to like Hello Sunshine my my kitchen just because I was like putting away dishes and I needed something.
I was wondering if Fight the Foot Funk would have been a little bit too on the nose.
Yeah, it probably would have been. Yeah,
too on the not fully.
Yeah, on the
their nose.
Yeah.
That's some good special effects, by the way.
There was the best is when he kisses her and then part of his face is like a normal face, but then like his.
I love that
mouth is like all I know. I'm trying to do
love
the
that
most unpodcasting thing, which is putting my hand over my mouth and trying to like mimic something. Okay, no, but he. So you see out of his mouth, the kind of mummy part of his body.
They did good things. It was sadly it was an Academy Award nomination for Best Sound, not effects, but that's okay. That's okay. You don't believe in the Oscars anyways.
I do not.
So put away that angry face. That's half decomposing.
I mean, but I feel like the technical Oscars I'm like, I'll buy that.
The point is, Frankie and Murr are kind enough to offer us these various wonderful smells that are not grossness.
No, that kind of like just get you out of that gross phase.
In fact, they introduced something new. I'm very curious because we haven't received it yet. But they have something called Chai-sexual. Oh, Polina just made a face.
Also I'm excited because I love chai and I
also
enjoy
great podcasting right there.
Too.
What's really nice is that if you go to frankieandmurr.com, so FRANKIE and MYRRH, use the code happily1 and you will save 20% off of your order, and orders over $35 get free domestic shipping. Okay, Polina's doing eyebrow raises right now.
And I know this, and it still excites me. I mean, 20% is a lot.
Yeah, so if you make a purchase...
And their stuff is very reasonably priced.
Thank
and it's
you.
Still nice.
Frankie and Murr, you make a purchase, you're saving money and you're supporting the show.
Why not do it?
Yeah. So I think that covers it.
Yeah.
We're going to be back for The Mummy Returns.
Yeah.
Can you say the promo code?
Oh, wow. I'm terrible at this.
Oh, my God.
That's why I'm the producer.
So the promo code is happily1.
Yes. Happily1. HAPPILY and the number 1.
Because we had to double it up because I messed up.
We didn't even plan that. That was good.
No, but we had this like eye contact
We
thing
did.
that
I
they
know. We
couldn't
too.
see.
Yeah.
Because that's good.
It's like that thing when we start singing to songs in restaurants and we do it together. That's always, I enjoyed that.
We're just trying to annoy him.
Yeah.
I'm entertained by that.
He is.
Damn it.
I know.
All right. Okay. So we got a promo code, 20% off,
Right.
free shipping over $35. Thank you for supporting us and saving money off of Frankie and Murr. All right.
And getting good stuff.
Mr. Producer?
Yes.
Will you join us for The Mummy Returns?
If you'll
Please,
have me.
please,
I'm
please.
so excited.
I know you were. I think you're more excited to talk about The Mummy Returns than The Mummy.
I kind of am.
Yeah.
Kind of is.
My relationship with that movie runs even deeper.
Save it for next time. Whoa. Okay, that was a scary sound. All right. So there we are.
Ryan's falsetto is quite impressive.
So until next time, we'll see you for The Mummy Returns.
Yeah.